James Pearce Jr. was one of the few bright spots on an average Atlanta Falcons defensive unit. He appeared to be the future of the franchise on defense, racking up 10.5 sacks in only his rookie season, finishing third in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting. Pearce Jr. had an incredibly promising career in front of him, but it appears that he has thrown it all away before it really got a chance to get started.
Police arrested Falcons rookie James Pearce Jr. earlier today in Florida.
Recently, the star edge rusher was arrested and charged with 6 felonies, ranging from aggravated stalking to aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer.
He faces multiple domestic violence charges in Miami-Dade County, including battery and stalking.
This is the rise and fall of James Pearce.
Accused of hitting an officer with his car and what he allegedly did to a WNBA player.
The incident that likely will end his career. Heading into the offseason, James Pearce Jr. was on top of the world. He put together an incredible rookie season in which he stood out as one of the best rookies in the league on the defensive side of the ball. However, all of the momentum of this elite first season in the NFL would come to a screeching halt when he was arrested on February 7, 2026. As more details have continued to come out surrounding the incident that would land him behind bars, the more chilling things have become. This has quickly turned into one of the most disturbing cases in recent NFL history, with some already comparing him to Ray Rice, while others believe the crimes that Pearce Jr. committed are even worse. During his time at Tennessee, Pearce Jr. would meet women's basketball standout Rickea Jackson, and the two would quickly become a power couple. Pearce Jr. quickly established himself as one of the most promising NFL prospects in his draft class, and Jackson did the same as a WNBA prospect. Jackson was with Pearce Jr. and his family when he was drafted with the 26th overall pick by the Atlanta Falcons, and on the surface, they looked to be well on their way to potentially being one of the new first families of sports. However, things allegedly recently began to turn sour between the couple, and they broke up. This led to the February incident where Pearce Jr. would not only jeopardize his own life, but also the lives of Jackson and numerous Miami police officers. Jackson told police that the relationship between the two recently ended, but despite this, Pearce Jr. continued to harass her and refused to cut contact. He was following her vehicle in a Lamborghini SUV, and once he believed he had her trapped at a red light, he exited the car and tried to open Jackson's car door. Jackson drove away and attempted to flee to the Doral Police Department. However, Pearce Jr. continued his pursuit and began crashing into her car, starting by rear-ending her before eventually colliding head-on. Jackson frantically called 911. Police quickly responded to the phone call. An officer was eventually able to place himself in front of Pearce Jr.'s vehicle, where he drew a weapon and ordered him to exit the vehicle. However, the Falcon rookie, instead of complying, closed the door of his vehicle and began to drive away, striking the officer in the knee with his Lamborghini. Following this, there was a high-speed chase in which he once again used his vehicle as a weapon, colliding with police vehicles. After crashing his car, Pearce Jr. attempted to flee on foot. Officers were eventually able to stop him, with it taking a handful of officers to subdue him and get him into the back of the squad car. Unsurprisingly, he was arrested and sent to jail. However, shockingly, his bail was posted at only $20,500 in, which he almost immediately posted and was out the next day. Pearce's lawyer released a statement saying, "Mr. Pearce maintains his innocence and urges the public to understand that while allegations have the power to shape a narrative, that is hardly the full, complete story. We look forward to vigorously defending our client and remain confident that he will continue contributing positively to both his team and the community he serves so well." However, Pearce Jr. and his lawyer, Jacob Nunez, have an uphill battle in front of them if they want to prove his innocence. He is already facing 6 felony charges: resisting an officer with violence, a third-degree felony with a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a minimum of no time, fleeing or eluding a second-degree felony that can tack on 3 to 15 years on his sentence, aggravated stalking, a third-degree felony with a minimum of no time served and a max of 5 years, 2 counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, a second-degree felony, which draws a collective 42-month sentence at a minimum and 30 years max, and finally aggravated battery on a law enforcement office, a first-degree felony that could add 5 to 30 years on his sentence. If he is found guilty on all charges, this means that Pearce Jr. will be behind bars anywhere from 11.5 to 85 years, meaning that that even if he faces the minimum amount of time for each charge, if he is convicted on all 6 counts, his NFL career will be over before it even got a real chance to take off, with him getting out of jail at around 34 years old. Jackson has already stated that she is willing to testify if the domestic violence charges against him go to trial, and there is a strong chance that the darkest details surrounding this case are yet to come out until Jackson takes the stand. The Falcons organization and their coaching staff have remained tight-lipped about the situation, releasing a statement saying, "We are aware of an incident involving James Pearce Jr. in Miami. We are in the process of gathering more information and will not have any further comment on an open legal matter at this time." This situation becomes even more bleak for Pearce Jr.'s legal defense when taking into account that this is not his first run-in with the law. On December 4th, 2023, while he was still a member of the Tennessee Volunteers, Pearce Jr. was pulled over after officers clocked him going 63 miles per hour in a 35-mile-per-hour zone. Along with this, the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee he was driving had expired North Carolina temporary tags, and Pearce was unable to provide the responding officer with any proof of car insurance. Later on, police also discovered that Pearce had a suspended license in North Carolina. Things went from bad to worse as officers had to tell him multiple times to shut the vehicle off and to exit it. After eventually complying with these orders, Pearce attempted to simply walk back to his vehicle after police told him that it would be towed after they searched the vehicle. This led to him being arrested and the vehicle being impounded. Shockingly, all of these misdemeanors went on to be dropped, and the speeding ticket was dismissed after Pearce Jr. paid $278. While these charges are nothing groundbreaking or earth-shattering, they likely will be brought up in his upcoming trial to paint a picture that Pearce Jr. has failed to comply with officers in the past, establishing a pattern that this is something that could happen again if he is let off easy by the legal system for a second time. Along with this, his legal defense will be unable to argue that the incident involving Jackson was a one-time lapse in judgment and unlawful behavior is something that is extremely out of character for him. Barring any massive breakthroughs during the trial or the release of new information that works in Pearce Jr.'s favor, this appears to be an unwinnable case and one that will be the nail in the coffin to what would have been a very long and promising career in the NFL. His journey to the NFL and the promising career he threw away. Now we will transition into the story of Pearce Jr., the football player, the talent that allowed potentially concerning character issues to be brushed off and go unchecked, and what he accomplished on the field that turned this into such a high-profile case, and the potential that may go on to be wasted if he winds up being convicted. Pearce Jr.'s football career began to take off in high school at Julius L. Chambers High School in Charlotte. In his senior season, he was the anchor of the defense and a seemingly unstoppable force coming off of the edge, finishing the year with 14.5 sacks and 2 interceptions. He was the driving force of his team winning back-to-back North Carolina 4AA state championships. As a result of these 2 dominant seasons, along with proving that he can disrupt games on defense and have a major impact on winning games, Pearce Jr. was a highly touted recruit. ESPN rated him as a 3-star recruit and ranked him as the 40th best defensive end and 16th best player in North Carolina. He received scholarship offers from some of the top football programs in the country, including Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas. On December 15, 2021, he chose to take his talents to Tennessee and become a volunteer. Despite being just a 3-star recruit, Pearce Jr. blew coaches away leading up to the 2022 season and was able to see the field in all 13 games as a true freshman. While he was making it onto the field, it was clear that there was still some clear development that needed to occur, with Pearce Jr. unsurprisingly struggling to make the same impact as he did in high school, finishing his freshman season with just 3 tackles and 2 sacks. It was clear that the potential was there, but a lot of work would still be needed before Pearce Jr. was the star player that Tennessee's scouts believed that he one day could be. The Volunteers had a very strong season. At times, they appeared to be one of, if not the most talented team in all of college football, peaking at 2nd in the AP Top 25 rankings. Ultimately, they ended their year with an impressive 11-2 record, capping off their 2022 campaign with a 31-14 win over the 10th-ranked Clemson Tigers in the Orange Bowl. In the 2023 season, Pearce Jr. made the exact jump that coaches were hoping for, but not even they could have imagined what he had in store during his sophomore year. He quickly proved himself as one of the most talented edge rushers, not only in the SEC, but in the entire country. He totaled 10.0 sacks, leading the SEC in the metric, 14.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and even an interception that he returned for a 52-yard touchdown. These numbers earned him a spot on the first-team All-SEC roster. Despite his individual success, the Volunteers were unable to overcome the talent that they had lost in the draft the year prior, and they began to flounder as a team, finishing the regular season with an 8-4 record after entering the year as the 9th-ranked team in the country. Before their bowl game, Pearce Jr. was back home in North Carolina when he had his first run-in with the law. The previously discussed traffic stop where he was caught speeding, driving on a suspended license, driving with expired tags, and failing to provide proof of insurance. These misdemeanors resulted in Pearce Jr. having his vehicle impounded and being forced to pay the $278 speeding ticket. While these are not very serious charges by any means, Pearce Jr. faced no suspension from the school, although they released a statement following his arrest saying, "We are aware of the incident involving James Pearce Jr., and we are awaiting more information." Pearce Jr., despite his off-the-field incident, did not miss a beat on the field. He recorded 4 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a 52-yard pick 6 in the dominant 35-0 win over the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Citrus Bowl. The 2024 season went on to be Pearce Jr.'s final year in Tennessee. While his sack numbers took a slight step back this year, this mainly came as a result of the additional attention he received from opposing offensive lines. He still put together a very strong stat line in his junior season, totaling 13 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble, once again earning a spot on the first-team All-SEC roster. As a team, Tennessee had a return to form, peaking at 4th in the top 25 rankings, and made an appearance in the college football playoff, earning the 7th seed and taking on the 6th-seeded Ohio State Buckeyes. In what went on to be his final game in a Volunteer jersey, Pearce Jr. made 3 tackles, 2 of them being tackles for loss. However, this was far from enough, and Tennessee was sent home in embarrassing fashion, losing by a final score of 42-17. Despite his collegiate career ending on a sour note, the future was still very bright for Pearce Jr. NFL.com ranked him 4th at his position in the 2025 draft class in terms of production, and 21st in terms of athleticism, for a total rank of 5th. NFL analyst Lance Zierlein projected him to go in the late 1st to early 2nd round, comparing him to Odafe Owe. Despite having very little left to prove on the field, Zierlein almost perfectly projected how the character concerns of Pearce Jr. would go on to affect his draft stock. Early projections from many experts around the league believed that he was a top 5 talent in the class. Pearce Jr. addressed this at his pro day, saying, "On the tape, there's nothing you really can dislike. They want to know the type of person that I am. They want to know that from me. They ask everybody else, but they want to know from me too. I'm a great guy, I'm a great teammate, a great player, I'm a people person, I've got a good heart." Pearce Jr. slid a bit more in the 1st round than he likely would have wanted. The Atlanta Falcons chose to double down on first-round edge rushers after selecting Jalen Walker earlier in the 1st round, and made an aggressive trade with the Los Angeles Rams to re-enter the 1st round. The deal sent the 26th and 101st overall picks in the 2025 draft to the Falcons for their 2026 first-round pick, and the 46th and 242nd picks in the 2025 draft. With this 26th overall pick, they selected Pearce Jr., showing that they were ready to mortgage their future to bet on the upside of the defensive end that many around the league questioned. While many analysts believed that this was a hefty price to pay for Atlanta and were unsure if the long-term ramifications would make the trade worthwhile, no one had any doubts about the talent they were receiving. With all of the draft capital that the Falcons gave up to add Pearce Jr. to their roster, he had an immense amount of pressure placed on him to make an immediate impact. He picked up his first half sack in the team's Week 2 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. However, he struggled to get to the quarterback on the NFL level, something that was seemingly effortless for him in college. Through the team's first 8 games, this half sack of J.J. McCarthy was the only sack credited to Pearce Jr. However, through Through the team's second half of the season, he came into his own and appeared to be a completely different player. Over the final 9 games of the year, Pearce Jr. was a force to be reckoned with, averaging 1.1 sacks per game. For reference, if he was able to keep this pace for an entire season, it would place him tied for 36th all-time in single-season sacks. Despite the slow start to the season, Pearce Jr. proved himself as one of the most talented rookies on the defensive side of the ball that the league had to offer, earning 3rd place in the Defensive Rookie of the Year voting, finishing behind only Nick Emenwari and Carson Schwessinger. He finished his rookie campaign with 26 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 16 QB hits, 10.5 sacks, and 5 passes defended. On the field, it appeared as if the future could not be brighter for Pearce Jr. He was one of the top-performing rookies in the league, and he was truly coming into his own through the second half of the season. Finishing the year as strong as he did gave many hope that he was well on his way to being one of the NFL's next great edge rushers and the future anchor of the Falcons' defense. Even though the Falcons gave up what went on to be the 13th overall pick in the 2026 draft to get him, after his rookie showing, many believed that it was a worthy price to pay, and had the Falcons' rookie classes amongst one of the strongest in the league through the 2025 season. What is next for James Pearce Jr.? All of this momentum and goodwill that Pearce Jr. had earned through his on-the-field play came to a screeching halt in a moment. He went from the potential future face of a franchise on the defensive side of the ball to someone who could be spending the rest of their life in prison. Even if Pearce Jr. and his legal team are able to get some of the charges dropped and reduced sentences on the charges that stick, there is still almost no way that he makes it out of this situation without spending the entirety of what would be his athletic prime in a jail cell. Along with this, even if he does find a way to get out of prison with a few good years left in him, it will be very difficult for him to find a team that will be willing to take a chance on him after just half a season of elite tape in a rookie season. Taking on the negative PR that rightfully will follow Pearce Jr. after this incident is going to likely cause any team to avoid him like the plague, unless his legal team is able to prove that he is innocent of all charges, as he says. While this occurred years ago, this situation immediately reminds me of Michael Vick, a star from the Falcons who got himself into legal issues that derailed his career. However, the difference is that Vick had already made 3 Pro Bowls and was in the midst of his prime before he was in jail for 2 years. Pearce Jr. did not have the time to earn these accolades and develop enough to truly hit his prime. Along with this, there is a very slim chance that he does not end up serving substantially more jail time than Vick did. Finally, even when he made his return, Vick proved that he was still a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, something that will be almost impossible for Pearce Jr. to obtain after being away from the game for so long. Maybe Pearce Jr. and his lawyer do have an ace up their sleeve that they will unveil during the trial that will prove that he is innocent. However, from the evidence that is available to us at the moment, paired with certain undeniable facts that are already apparent, this is one of the most abhorrent cases that we have seen from an NFL player in some time, and a conviction on any of these charges will make the situation even worse. While he had all the potential in the world and appeared to truly be coming into his own as an elite pass rusher, the character concerns that many teams had concerning him appear to be more than justified, and he will go down as yet another what if from this league who derailed his own career. Let us know in the comments, do you think that Pearce Jr. will be able to turn his life around and get a second chance in the NFL? Or will he go down as yet another what if for the Atlanta Falcons, whose career was thrown away due to legal issues? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to NFL Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.